following program comes from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, songwriter, 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania. And the first to launch her own podcast, which gives you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes and extraordinary entertainers. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Welcome, everybody, to Chasing Glory. Another incredible episode heading your way. And incredible does not even begin to cover it. You've got to be prepared for this one because this is a very, very emotional interview. I want to thank you for following me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter and Lilian Garcia official fan page. And of course, following the show at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram. And before we go to this episode from today, I do want to thank last week's guest, an incredible interview by Zack Ryder. Guys, like I said, I hadn't even planned to do that interview yet. And then when I saw him backstage, I'm like, no, I need to do your interview right now. I need to hear from someone who has to continue this chase for glory. Like, he's had his highs, but he's, like he said, he's in the valley right now. And hearing how he's handling that was, I feel like a really great, insightful story. And I hope it helps somebody out there. And I'm sure it did because we got notice on Twitter and all of that. You guys wrote how much it helped you. So thank you, Zack, for being my guest. And my guest today. So here's what happened. I was backstage at SummerSlam, as you guys know. And I was speaking to Thea Trinidad, which is Zelina Vega. She and I have been friends for a while. I mean, we've known each other for many years, but I didn't know something in particular. And when I told her, I was like, hey, you know what? I can't wait to get your story on Chasing Glory, but I want to make sure it's the right time. And because I really like to be, strategic with my interviews. Well, she said, Lilian, you might then want me around 9/11. And I was like, what? Why? Oh, man. Then I had no idea that her father died in the Twin Towers. That is heavy. I had no idea. And she goes into this interview about what happened, very detailed, and then what happened afterwards, and something that she's never shared with her family before, no one. And she picked this interview to talk about it. So you're going to hear about that. And then you can also hear, her journey and everything. But you're also going to hear about the fact that she heard me sing it, 2 days after the attacks and what that represented to her, and talk about me getting emotional. Guys, the National Anthem for me, as you know, I've sang it for many years. I got the privilege of singing it with the WWE for many years. And that has represented something so special for me, especially because my father was a lieutenant colonel, and I was born on a military base. I'm an Army brat all the way. And, I came to this country when I was 8 years old from Spain. My dad was working for the United States Embassy in Spain. And then we got transferred here, and I'd heard all about America. And getting here, it was a little bit of a culture shock because it was definitely a different culture. But the things that I've been able to do here, incredible. And being me as a Latina, and I got bullied. I got bullied for speaking Spanish, and I got bullied for being different. I wore dresses to school because that's what we wore in Spain. But I've handled it, and I just, the anthem for me just represents something so big. And being there, remember 9/11, that moment was needed so badly. And for me to have been chosen by Vince to sing it in front of everybody, and everybody uniting from every color and just everybody. Oh, what a moment. So I will be playing that at the end of this show. You're going to hear the 9/11 rendition, and you guys can actually catch it on YouTube under WWE. Basically, you just Google my name and put 9/11, and it shows you the clip from WWE. So, speaking of Zelina, yeah, she's incredible. Wait till you hear this entire journey of how long it took her to finally get her dream of being in the WWE, and she's killing it now. I love seeing her with Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella and everything that's going on there, and working with Miz and Maurice and all of that whole storyline. So just congratulations, Zelina. You finally made it, and you're making a big impact here, and your story is so incredible. And I think without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is Zelina Vega's journey of chasing glory. Hustle, determination, and hard work are all terms that are synonymous with Thea Trinidad. Born and raised in Queens, New York, she grew up watching pro wrestling religiously alongside her father and younger brother. She grew up as an athlete participating in baseball as well as swimming. She was also a trained dancer and even came in second place in step competitions. She began her wrestling training at the age of 17 under the tutelage of her cousin, the Amazing Red, as well as former Cruiserweight champion T.J. Perkins. She would begin working for independent wrestling promotions before catching the eye of TNA, where she was renamed Rosita. She was brought into TNA as a teammate of current WWE Performance Center coach, Sarita, and together they captured the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Throughout the next few years, Thea would also travel to Mexico, where she performed for the two biggest promotions south of the border, AAA and CMLL, all while trying to get noticed by the WWE. While still not under contract, Thea would make appearances on WWE TV as being part of Adam Rhodes' Rosebuds, as well as wrestling Asuka in NXT. And eventually it all paid off, because in the summer of 2017, Thea Trinidad signed a contract with the WWE. She would be introduced as Zelina Vega and began accompanying Andrade Cien Almas as his business associate, and led him to winning the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver War Games. During the Superstar shakeup, it was announced that both Almas and Vega would be drafted to Smackdown Live, where they have since been highly successful. She would make her in-ring debut for WWE, defeating Lana, as well as teaming with Almas at SummerSlam, defeating both Lana and Rusev. Outside the ring, Vega can also add acting to her resume, as she took part in Dorothy and the Witches of Oz, and in March of 2019 will be featured in Fighting With My Family, which is being produced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This journey is far from over for La Muñeca, who is barely just starting to reach her peak. It's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Zelina Vega. All right, guys, get ready for this, because I have a feeling this is going to be a very emotional show. Zelina Vega is in the house. Actually, it's Zelina with the Z.
Yes.
Welcome to Chasing Glory.
Thank you so much. I've wanted to be on this for a while.
Yeah?
So, yes, because I've seen your other interviews, and anytime I'm like, I hope one day she'll ask me.
Oh,
So,
yay. Yeah, I always planned to have you on, but I'm very strategic, I feel like, on it's got to make sense. Absolutely. When I have somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And when you and I were talking in catering, and I was backstage, by the way, guys. I'm backstage here. Today is backstage at Smackdown.
Yes.
And it's been great, like, getting to see everybody, and you and I were hanging out like we always do when we see each other. We're like, let's catch up, right?
Yeah.
But it was wild when I was like, I want to get you on, but it's got to make sense. And then, here we are around 9/11, and you were like, I think that you might want to have me on during 9/11. I'm like, wait, what? What do I not know?
Right.
And what the crazy part is knowing you for so many years, but not really knowing you.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, all the ins and outs, just that you've really tried out for WWE, a lot.
Yes, a lot,
right?
a lot.
Like trying to really get in here. And I remember you and I having conversations like when I was like, I see something in you, don't give up.
Yep. Absolutely. I remember like right before the promo, I don't know if you remember this, but right before the promo that they had me do, I think it was in front of like Regal and Stryker and them, and you're like, you need to say something in Spanish. Say like, no me olvides.
Oh, no me olvides.
Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah.
And I remembered that for years. And like I would always kind of slip it in when I could. But it was because of you that I was like, I should do like more Spanish in my like whether it's interviews or with my promos or just something to kind of pull that culture, regardless of the fact that I don't speak Spanish fluently. I really try to make it a point to still pull that culture and represent for that culture.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a Latina, me gusta mucho.
Yeah, absolutely.
How come you didn't learn Spanish growing up?
So, this sounds funny, but my mom, so my grandmother's from Puerto Rico, and everybody before her, they all lived in Puerto Rico. But from my mother down, we just all lived in Queens, New York. So it was just everybody spoke English, so it was just not a thing. My grandmother spoke Spanish sometimes, but my mom would use Spanish as code so that she can speak freely in front of us. And she didn't teach us really a whole lot. I think actually my first Spanish word that I learned was cuidado.
Cuidado means be careful.
Yeah, because my grandmother was always like, "Oh, don't do that, cuidado," you know, like, or salchichas, because like she made this like rice, and I thought that was the real word for it.
No, salchichas is sausage.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So like rice and sausages, and like I thought that was a real thing. So when I was trying to explain to my other friends who weren't Spanish, they're like, "What the heck is salchichas?" So yeah,
that's so cute. How's it going? Are you really trying to invest it to learn the language?
Yes, WWE has helped me a lot with that. Estoy aprendiendo español en mi casa con mi maestra, pero es muy difícil for me because I don't feel like I have a lot of people to speak Spanish to practice with, right? And except Andrade, he does speak Spanish to me, but I'm also helping him with his English, and that's what takes precedence right now.
Right.
So, but we feed off of each other very well. Yeah. So I'm definitely making it a point, but I'm so grateful that WWE has, really made it a priority to help me to learn.
Yeah, because I heard that they really are helping people with, like, if they want to know a different language or whatever, so which I think is great in education and furthering education. I think it's so important. Mm-hmm. So let me get to know you a little better. First of all, how's your time been here since you got to Smackdown? How excited are you?
I'm still in shock, to be honest.
Like, it took you a while to get here. Why was it
years.
So important to get to WWE? Like, you went to TNA,
yes,
and we'll talk about that, but what was it about WWE that you were like, I got to get there?
Well, when I was a kid, I knew since 4 years old that this is what I wanted to do. 100% hands down, like I knew. And my mom was like, oh, okay, sure, it's a phase. But my dad was the one that was like, okay, yeah, like, let's do this. Like, you want to do it? Like, absolutely. So my dad was an amateur wrestler, and I still have, like, his wrestling trophies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he wanted to be a wrestler. Like, he loved WWF back in the day.
Yeah.
And he took me to, like, ECW, and that scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, wait, maybe I'll think twice about this.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. Which is funny because then I had met Tommy Dreamer all those years, after that.
Yeah.
And became extremely close with him. I call him like my wrestling dad. And it's such a weird circle because it was just WWF events were the ones that we went to the most. So whether that was in the Barclays Center or Madison Square Garden specifically, or Nassau Coliseum. Whenever my dad can get tickets, I don't know how he did it, but he always got us tickets. And we didn't have a lot of money, but we were always at the events when they were here. So I still have my foam finger from like when I was 12, I want to say. Wow. No, maybe 10, because my dad got it for me because he had passed away when I was 10. So I still have it when I was 10 years old, and my Hardy Boys shirt that he got for me. Yeah. So
wow, that is so wild.
Yeah, I gotta show it to you because it's so crazy. Like, I don't know how I kept it in such good condition, but I still have it.
What the Hardy Boys mean to you? Obviously, they mean something to you.
Yeah, so I was one of those obsessive, like, those teenagers are like, oh my God, One Direction, like, oh my God. Okay, yeah. I was obsessed with the Hardys, like, absolutely obsessed. And I don't think they know the extent of that, but
yeah, I was going to ask you if you ever told them.
I mean, I have told them. I think Matt found out by accident.
Oh, did he?
So I met both of them when I was 15. I went to a signing that they had at, I think it was like the Westfield Mall in Long Island. And I got on the line. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I can't tell them I love them. I cannot tell them I love them. No. Just be cool. Just be like, hi, I'm Thea. Say that. Start with that. And when I got there, nothing came out of my mouth. Like nothing.
Not even
I was
hi.
like practicing like in my head what I was going to say. Nothing came out. And then Matt finally was like, hi. Like, do you want to come, get an autograph, a picture? And I was like, yeah. Yeah. So I was so shy. Oh my God. I had braces. I have the picture. I got to show it to you. I had braces. I was such a nerdy little girl. And I was like, okay, I left the line. I had just got autographs the first time. And then, because my aunt was like, no, you can only get one thing. So an autograph is it. And I was like, So I called my mom, behind her back. I was like, Mom, I really want a picture. I really, really, really want it. And I put on the waterworks a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, fine. So I got back on the line and I went back. I was like, okay, Thea, your name is Thea. Your name is Thea. So I got up to them finally and Matt was like, oh, you're back. And I was like, yeah, I had to get a picture. And I was like, oh, that was words. That was words. Okay. And he's like, you're so funny. Come here.
Oh.
So we took the picture and I had a mega crush on Jeff, right? So I was like, can I just get one more picture though with Jeff? And you see me just
without
go like,
you?
Yeah, right. And I was just like, okay, click. It was like really quick. And in my head, in the picture, it looks like this is my man. Don't nobody step to him because he's my, I was a psycho. But, it was such a cool moment because then I went to school for graphic design and I loved editing and that was my big thing. And I had met this guy named Mike and he was like, I'm working on this project. You can actually help me out with it. And I was like, okay, what is it? And he was like, oh, it's called The Hardy Show. I was like, it's called The what?
Isn't the Hardy Boys?
Yeah. I was like, are you, because he didn't know how much of a fan I was.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, are you serious right now? I was like Jeff and Matt, from WWE, the Hardy Boys? He's like, yeah, why? Do you know them? I was like, no, I don't know them. But yeah, look at this.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Guys,
15.
she is showing me this amazing picture, which you're going to have to give me to be able to post this.
Yeah.
This is so awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It's her and Jeff Hardy, and it's precious. That's awesome.
My God. But then with that, I started just talking to Matt more about business. Whenever I would talk about, to Jeff, he'd be like, how's your family? How are you? We got into really deep conversations, and I ended up opening up to Jeff about something. So I'm wondering now, should we rewind to why I got into wrestling, and then I'll finish up the Jeff story. But
okay. So before we get to that, real quick, I want to know who you were as a kid. Who's Thea? You're raised in Queens.
Yes.
Born in Queens. Mm-hmm. How was school for you?
I was the nerdy short girl who loved wrestling and was very, I was such a loner. I didn't really have a bunch of friends, and the friends that I did have were always guys because I was playing baseball in front of the house, in front of my grandmother's house with my grandfather and my neighbors, but I never really had a lot of girlfriends. But I loved wrestling so much. In my locker, I always had the Hardys on there. I had Lita. Lita was everything to me.
Wow.
And I was the girl doing swanton bombs in my pool. That was Thea. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you feel you just like you said, you're hanging out with the guys, so it's nothing else. Did you feel like you wanted to have, because did you have any brothers and sisters?
I have 2 younger brothers, yes.
Okay, so it's guys all around you.
All around.
So it's just felt normal.
Very much so, and I was a daddy's girl. My dad was just everything. My mom was like, oh, makeup and skirts, and I was like, no, I want nothing to do with this. So my mom and I, it took a while for us to become close. But my dad and I, he called me his pride and joy. I was just his baby girl, and that was it. Everything was just wrestling at all times. And he would surprise us with wrestling tickets. And I remember my mom, she would try and get me excited about like a play or ballet or something, and I was like, thanks, but I don't like this. Like Barbies, I don't like. I don't.
That was me. I hated Barbie dolls.
Yep.
I wanted to play with the cars.
Yeah.
No, I get you.
Absolutely. And my grandfather too. Oh my God, if my grandfather can see me now, he always told me, because he was also my big wrestling like fans in my family. So I remember Trish had done. Do you remember when she was like in lingerie and she was like rubbing all on the tables and stuff? We're watching it together. My grandfather turns to me and he's like, "Don't you ever do that, ever."
Oh, wow.
Because I will be so mad at you if you ever do that. Fast forward, I ended up doing something very similar in TNA, but yeah, I remember thinking, I was like, "Oh, Papa, I'm sorry." Ugh. But
how did you feel about that?
No, not at all.
No.
I think it's just I adopted the mentality of this is entertainment. This is just part of it. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you reminded me of Trish." So I remember when she interrupted.
I told you that.
You did tell me that. Yep.
You as a blonde is a mini Trish. It's crazy because I traveled with her for 7 years. I mean, I've known her for years now. But God, when I looked at you, I went, "Oh my God, it's little mini Trish,"
Which is such a huge compliment. Like.
Yeah, I remember you saying that too. And you're like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, I loved it because I was like, geez, if anybody you could be related to is like the most beautiful, successful person in like woman in the business, like, you know. But and then when I met her at a signing. And because we had talked over Twitter a few times, and she's like, "We got to take a picture together, #twins." And I was like, "Okay, I'm screenshotting this for my future."
Right? Did you guys take the picture?
We did. I should show you that one too. Yeah, we have and for some reason, we both went the same tone in our hair color.
Oh, wow.
And we took a picture together. She's like, "I feel like I'm looking into a mirror. This is really weird."
See? I'm telling you, it is. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. Even some of your mannerisms.
Really?
Even some of your mannerisms. That's cool.
It might be because I've watched her for so long.
There you
go.
I've
watched a lot of Trish and Lita and Alyssa Milano on Charm. So
I totally see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
all right. So when you said you weren't close to your mom, what? How did that feel for you, and how did you guys break through that? And did you feel funny not being close to her?
Not at first. I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of girls, especially growing up, were going through a bunch of changes, and I want to do this, and my mom's not letting me do this, and I wanted to be all about wrestling and boy stuff and be a tomboy, and she wanted to force something else on me, and she was very against me being a wrestler because she was so afraid for safety. She's like, "I don't want you to get hurt, you're my girl," but I was just so like, "No, leave me alone, like I want to do this," but it took us up until I was probably 18 or 19 for her and I to get close. And like even after my mom and I had a few talks about, okay, this is who I am. I know that this is what you wanted me to be, but this is who I am. Mm-hmm. And even now we still have a little bit of, like for instance, marriage, right?
Yeah.
For her, she has this dream wedding picked out. She wants it to be like horse and carriage, like fairy tale wedding. But I don't really want that. I want something maybe done in Hawaii where it's like, just really a small wedding with just like our parents and just, something very small that it's just for us,
Yeah.
But I don't know, we never really had the same views. But that's, it became okay once around like I said, 1920, but she knows that I've been trying out for WWE since 2010, and it took forever for her to be okay with it. She's like, "This is your 4th tryout. When are you gonna like give up on this already?" And I was like, I'm just not. I won't. I can't. And what I've dedicated this to won't let me stop.
Yeah.
So, but once TNA happened, and once I actually got to WWE, she just broke down crying and just said like, because she had supported me because I was very much a rebel, but she just said, "I'm so happy that you accomplished your dreams. Like this is such a big thing and inspiration to me because, she had dreams too. Like she wanted to be a fashion designer, but she had 2 kids, and so she had to sacrifice a lot for us. And I don't think I understood that until I got older because I was very selfish when I was younger. But now I look back and I'm like, she is the most amazing woman I have ever known. And I can't even believe I didn't realize that sooner. And I remember one day I just thought about everything and I called her crying and I was just like, Mom, I love you so much. Like, I cannot believe you've sacrificed so much for for our family. She is like, I remember Terry Taylor when he worked in TNA, he used to call her the pit bull because she would always be like on my ass about, are you doing this right? Are you you're doing right by the company this way? Like, my mom was very on top of me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That must have, what was that like for her?
To be in TNA?
No, to hear you saying all of that.
Oh, she was surprised because it was around, I want to say 11:30 at night. So she was like getting ready for bed and she was like, where is this all coming from?
Right.
Like,
Are you okay? Are you dying on me?
That's my mom. It doesn't, there's nothing in the middle. It's either you're okay and doing PG or you're dying, you know?
Right.
So, but she was like in shock. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, Mom, like, I don't know what it is, but I just took a second and I was looking at like old pictures and I was just like, wow, she sacrificed everything for us, you know, like to make sure that we had clothes. Because no, we didn't have like the newest, best, clothing or sneakers or whatever. And back in Queens, it was like, oh, you with your Payless shoes. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything was Timberlands and Air Forces. But she somehow made it happen no matter what it was. She knew how much wrestling meant to me, and despite the fact that she didn't like it, she went with us to a wrestling event just because she knew how much it meant to us, me and my brother. And she had gotten, she got my brother a WWE magazine, and then she got me the Divas magazine. However, she didn't realize that what that magazine was everybody in swimsuits.
Yeah.
You know, so she was like, oh no, what am I doing? But yeah, so.
Wow.
She's an amazing woman.
That's awesome that you see that now. And
Absolutely.
It does take time sometimes. And during those teenage years and all that, you're just trying to find yourself. So a lot of things is just, it is the rebellious years, but I even said that to my mother too. I'm like, I'm so sorry I put you through that. It wasn't you. It was just that I was trying to find my independence.
Yes.
That's what it is, right?
Yes, completely.
Oh man, but I didn't realize how much I was hurting her too. You know, she was like, but you're my girl.
Yeah. Oh, I'm about to tell you something that I have never fully admitted to, and I've never actually have told anyone outside my family. How bad I wanted this to be in WWE. I knew that I had to start training, but I wanted to do it like right as soon as I was done with high school. And she said, absolutely not. You're going to college. It needs, you can't, no training, no nothing. So I had packed a bag and I had jumped out of my window and ran away from home when I was 18.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that was the biggest heartbreak for her. Like I wish I can take that back in a way. The hurt I wish I can take back. However, that was also such a big stepping stone for me to know, like, you're going to sacrifice everything. And that's what I did. Leaving home like that.
Where'd you go?
I went to my boyfriend's house at the time. He lived in Long Island. And I just stayed there and I trained. I trained all the time. And I just tried to get better. Whether that was studying tapes with him or just, going to a wrestling school out there. I wanted it really bad. And I knew that in North Carolina, there was the Hardys. And I knew that, they were always very helpful. And I knew this other girl out there named Amber who, they had, a school out there that if I wanted to train, I could. So I told my mom that I was going to my grandmother's house in Queens. But what I was actually doing, as a 19-year-old girl alone, I went to my grandmother's house, took the subway from Queens into the city, hopped on a bus, like one of those $9 buses.
Yeah.
They drove me all the way to North Carolina, and I would go out there and train.
Wow. Wait. Yeah. So you went out there to train for how long? Like, you wouldn't be going back and forth.
Yeah.
You were going back and forth?
Yep, every weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had lied for the longest time saying that I was just at my grandmother's house, but that wasn't what I was doing.
This is so crazy. the resemblance, Ember Moon on Chasing Glory, she talked about how she would lie to her parents, telling them, I'm just, waitressing and all of that.
Yeah.
She would go to Booker T's, which was 10 plus hours to go train there. And come back and go back and forth. And then finally she, told her parents.
Yeah.
how long did you keep this going for?
Until I got signed with TNA.
So how long period was that?
That was about 2 years.
2 years. You lied for 2 years to tell me, and you went every weekend.
I didn't even tell her until like a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
It came out randomly. I was like, oh, I used to take that bus. And she's like, what bus? And I was like, oh my God, I've never told you. I'm so sorry, Mom. This is what I used to do. And she was like, are you kidding me? She's like, if God forbid something happened to you, I would have never known. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. But this is part of my journey. And I always felt like, I have a tattoo on my shoulder because I had a motorcycle accident in 2010. Boyfriend at the time was drunk. He was picking me up from work. I didn't know. So we got in a pretty bad accident. And it was just a weird thing because my dad passed away, my uncle and my grandfather. And I always felt like those are my fathers because my uncle was my godfather, my actual father, and my grandfather. So, but they were like my guardian angels to me. And the doctor told me, he said, we have no idea how you survived that accident.
Wow.
Like, he's like, you not only survived it, but you came out pretty okay. I had a lot of road rash on my shoulder. I had a really bad concussion, and I messed up, like, my Achilles heel. But other than that, I was okay. And he said, basically, you flew off, flipped over, and landed on your back. He said, as if you knew to brace yourself. I was like, like a flip bump, huh?
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I always kind of say, like, it felt like my guardian angels helped me through that, and that wrestling just trained me to brace myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Mm-hmm. I just want to ask, was your boyfriend okay from that accident?
He lived.
He lived, okay.
Yeah, he was okay too. But he had a lot worse things wrong with him. The kickstand got cut in his thigh, and it ripped his thigh open. Back concussions. He couldn't walk. He broke his lower lumbar.
Wow.
So he was pretty messed up.
Did he get a DUI and all that too?
I don't know what happened after that because we broke up because I was like, no, you almost killed me. So,
yeah.
I was like, I hope that you're okay. Like, everything, I spoke to him even after, like, he had healed up and just to make sure he was good. But, yeah, I was like, this is not part of it anymore. I can't.
That's good. You're protecting yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. When you ran away, did you ever come back home? Or that was it, you ran away?
I did go back home, yes.
You did?
I went back home around...
Because you ran away at 18. Mm-hmm. So how long did it take you to come back?
Well, then at 20 years old, I went to my aunt's house, who also lived on Long Island, so I could keep training, but also that my mom could keep an eye on me and still, like, feel like, okay, she's with, my aunt, so it's okay. So it took about... I don't think I ever, like, lived there with her again because everything just started happening after that. And TNA happened, and then...
on the road.
Yeah, I was just on the road for so long, and I had to leave college because I was missing days because I was doing live events and, doing all these shows. And before I knew it, some of my teachers were like, oh, like, we watched you on TNA. And I was like, okay, this is so weird, but yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So how long did you go to college?
2 years. 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you regret not finishing?
No, I also think that I just didn't know what I really wanted. Like, I enjoyed editing and I enjoyed like graphic design and stuff like that, but I also was like, well, communications might be helpful. But then I was like, well, I really love nutrition, so I was bouncing around. So I feel like when I actually know 100% what I want to get a degree in, that's when I should do it.
So you still want to get a degree?
Yes, yeah. And I think more so now I'm realizing, especially being with WWE, a degree in business would be very helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
I think it's always good. Like, for me, it feels good. My parents were like, you can be whatever you want. You just have to go to college, and then that's it. Right?
Yes,
so
right.
I have my degree, and I don't know why. It does feel really good.
Yeah,
There's something about it.
Absolutely.
So before we get to when you were 10 and what happened there, what was your biggest struggle before 10? Would you say
before
growing
10
up?
years old? I think it had more to do with just not really knowing who I was, and I'm still figuring that out. I feel like everybody still is. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for exploration. But when I was younger, I just never felt like I was in my own skin. The only time I really felt like that was when I was with my dad or my grandmother. But anytime before that, in school, I never really had friends. I always felt like I was I'm not doing anything, so I guess we can hang out with you kind of friend. I don't have any like childhood friends that I still speak to. I don't. I was just always kind of picked on, you know, whether it was because of my height or because I liked wrestling or because I just didn't dress like a girl. I just didn't really have any friends, and I think that's also partially why, even in new situations, I can be surrounded by a million people and feel so alone. So I think that was a big thing for me. And my brother, he's like my best friend. So those three people were just like the ones that I would always feel like, okay, I can be myself and everything is okay. And I always try to make people laugh, but I think I was doing that because I was internally trying to make myself feel better by trying to be accepted. You know what I'm saying? So by making people laugh and want to be around me, that somehow made me feel accepted.
So is that hard then when you get in situations like, for example, here in the WWE, you're surrounded by a bunch of girls in the locker room and does that make it a little bit more difficult? Like, do you revert back to when you were growing up?
I do. I feel that I do. And sometimes, and I've had to explain to some of the girls, I'm like, listen, I'm just really awkward and I want to talk to you guys and I feel like I want to be a part of it. But I get so awkward and weird sometimes that I just kind of crawl into a little ball in my head and I just kind of shut everybody out. And I spoke to Lana about that, and I spoke to Naomi, because I've known Naomi since 2010, because my first tryout, she was with me.
Oh, gotcha.
She was already signed, and we had a match together, which is so crazy because FCW, May 2010, I was in the ring with her. We had a tag match in front of Dusty. And so Atlantic City was the first time since then. So 8 years later, it was the first time I was in the ring with her again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So it was insane for both of us. Like, we didn't really get to do too much, but I was like, dude, do you realize we haven't been in the ring with each other for 8 years? Yeah.
Wow. So you told them what?
Yeah, I told them that sometimes I feel, and Naomi's known me, so she gets it. But I was like, I feel like I should apologize because I don't want you guys to think that I don't want to talk to you guys or I don't want to be a part of it. I just feel sometimes that I don't, whether it's that I don't have something in common with people or I become that recluse again. I feel like I do absolutely revert back to that. And Lana had explained to me, she's like, I think that people kind of take that for granted because, you know, we are affected. We're products of our past. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it can influence how you are now. She said, but it's good that you're like telling people this and so explaining, because now we won't look at you like, oh, she just thinks she's too good for everybody.
Right.
And because I don't want people to think that at all. I'm the farthest, that's the farthest from my mind.
Right.
But I feel like that's why AJ Lee and I were very similar, because, you know, we started in the New York, New Jersey area. So we kind of got that vibe. We like video games. And so we were very similar in that kind of path. But when it came to talking to the other girls, I was like, I don't know anything about Gucci and Prada and I don't know anything about reality shows and the card. I know nothing. Right. So I had to try and find things to talk about. So I heard Becky listening to Pearl Jam. I love Pearl Jam. So I was able to be like, oh, hey. And so it's slowly bringing me out of my shell, but it is a process. It is such a difficult process for me.
Man, and I get you. Yeah. I get you. I understand, because it is a product of what happened. I mean, you know, from the years of me being bullied, same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I had such a distrust with women for so long that I was like, nope, I don't need any girlfriends. Nope, not at all. I'm good. And then I realized as the years would go by that I really miss having girlfriends and having that girl interaction. And it was nice to have that here, you know, and being in a locker room. So all I can say and advise you is embrace it, because you will meet amazing women here.
Yes, absolutely.
And to be able to break out of your shell and break out of, okay, well, just because it happened to me when I was growing up doesn't mean it has to continue now.
Yes.
And you said it, continue working on yourself, right? So if you know if that's something that's always been, you know, because it's not fun being alone.
No.
Right? I know. You start seeing that you think you're protecting yourself, but it doesn't protect yourself. Right. It doesn't protect you.
And then it helps me understand people a little bit better. So if I feel like Lana and I, I was like, there's no way I'm going to have anything in common with her. Like, she's so Hollywood beautiful, like, just, you know, I just didn't think that we'd have anything in common, to be honest. But I rode with her recently, and I was like, wow, we actually have a little more in common than I realized. And I can better understand why you are the way you are. And, you know, it's such a beautiful thing when somebody can open up to you, because that's a sign of trust. And when she started to do that, I was like, wow, this is okay. Yeah. And then I can open up to you, and that's, like you said, how things start. So,
well, you got to realize everyone's got a story.
Yes.
Everyone's got a journey. Everyone's been through stuff. You know, hearing Ember and what she's, you know, been through with all the bullying that she encountered.
Right.
No wonder she protects herself too. Yeah. And that's the thing. We all don't necessarily know what's happened to us, but man, does it affect us?
Yes, it totally does. And I love Ember, and she is actually somebody that I really, truly, and I tell her this all the time, but she's like, no, dude, no. I'm like, no, you are seriously one of the best I've ever seen. Just athleticism-wise, she's so amazing. And I remember at the Performance Center, just, you know, getting in the ring with her and just messing around. And before I knew it, she's lifting me up and throwing me around, and I'm hitting these crazy ranas. I was like, dude, I didn't think I'd be able to do that on a woman. And she is incredible. So I was like, I hope that we get to work with each other. Because
now especially, I'm like, yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, it would be such a cool thing, because I feel like not only is she good just athletically, but she's good, like, the moments.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen matches with her, whether it's her and Shayna. Oh, her and Shayna was so great. You know, so she gets the moments. It's like, we can definitely create something. I think that's the biggest thing. Whether I don't have anything in common with some of the girls, the biggest thing that we do have in common is the love for wrestling and wanting to create something amazing. So,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful,
yeah.
too. You hear that. All right, so that was your biggest struggle, you were saying. So then tell me, I mean, you're so close to your father. What happened is September 11th, you were 10 years old, 2001, right?
Yep.
What happened?
So, actually, so 9/11 happened on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That weekend before, my dad had brought us to Wildwood, New Jersey for like a mini vacation. And like I said, we never had a lot of money, but he planned this whole thing out. We had a hotel there. It was right next to the beach and the boardwalk, and it was...
Your parents, hold on, were your parents divorced by then?
Yes, they were divorced, yeah.
So before you hit that, when did they divorce? How old were you?
I was 9.
And so, so it was just a year earlier.
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you remember who you lived with? Did you stay with your mom?
Yes, I lived with my mom.
So how was that, knowing that you're not that close to your mom yet? You love your dad, your daddy's little girl. How hard was that divorce for you?
The divorce was difficult, but I also felt like I didn't quite understand it. I knew that there was issues. I knew that there was something wrong. Like, my brother was 7. So if I'm getting the time, I believe I was 9 at the time when it happened. But maybe, I'm not quite sure, because I feel like it was a little longer than that, because I had a stepdad at that point when I was 10 years old. So I do know that I met my stepdad when I was 8 years old, that they were dating. Like, they were separated for a while, but the actual, like, finalizing the divorce took a little bit. But my mom and my dad, regardless of any issues that they had, they never made it, like, they never showed it to my brother and I. They were amazing that way. I never knew of them fighting. I never knew of anything. I just knew that this didn't work out. They still love each other deeply, but they wanted to be there for us more than anything.
So when your stepfather, when he slides in, how does that for you?
Well, at first I thought it was really funny because his name was Kermit. So, like, I was like, oh, like the frog, haha. And, like, we just bonded instantly. Like, my stepfather, oh my God, he has been such a godsend. I love him.
That's so good.
Yes, I love him so much. And it's funny because I've always heard stories of, step parents, they don't love, like, the kids like that they would their own kids, but he does. He calls me his daughter. I am his daughter. There's nobody can tell him differently.
Oh, that's good.
And he was the rock for us, you know, and when everybody else I felt was falling apart, he was really the one to stay strong for everyone. But him and I, we get along great. From day one, I loved him. I was like, yep,
Oh,
That's
yay.
it.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, he was
okay.
great.
So now I got that. Now, all right. So you're at the vacation over the weekend.
Yeah, and it was a great vacation. We had so much fun, and I wish that I had more pictures. I have about maybe 3 or 4 during that time, but I think we were just so involved in living in the moment that we didn't think, oh, let's take videos and pictures. But it was Monday. He had called, and this is something that I have not told anybody this, but I told my mom this, and she was like, you need to let that go, because that's not, he wouldn't care about that at all. But he had called the house, and I was on the phone with a friend at the time, and I had kept him on hold for a while, and I completely forgot he was on the other line, and I clicked back, and he was so mad at me. We got into like a little fight because I was like, Dad, I want to talk to my friends, and you're bothering me, and But he just got so mad, like, I need to talk to your mother now. Like, what are you doing? You know, and it was just a little thing. But that stuck with me for a while because that was the last conversation I had with him.
Oh, God.
So it took me a while to go, you know what? That was not the last conversation I had. The last memories I have of him was that vacation, and that's it. Whatever. That, to me, it took a while, but for me to close the book on that conversation, it took a while. But to me now, that didn't even happen.
Of course.
You know. But Tuesday, I had stayed home for a doctor's appointment, and I was getting ready upstairs, and I hear my mom on the phone downstairs, and I feel like she's pacing, and she's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Michael, what's going on? Like, she was kind of freaking out a little bit, and I kept trying to ask her, like, what's going on? What's going on? And then she starts getting really upset and really hysterical, and she was like, Michael, no, like, what are you saying? And I was like, Michael, who? Like, I have my uncle Michael, and then I have my dad, and I was like, who, Michael? And she was like, no, it's your father. So right there, when she said that, first, that's when I felt like my consciousness came out of my body. Like, I felt like I was watching everything rather than being in my body, you know? So she turns on the TV, and I'm seeing what's going on. I thought it was a movie at first. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at her, and I don't quite get what's going on. And then she used to work in the World Trade Center, so she's like, okay, well, why can't you just go on this staircase and do this? And he's like, I can't. They're not letting us out of here. Like, we need to find this way. So I'm hearing him, and I'm hearing her, and I hear him start to cough more. And then he said something like, okay, we're going to try and break this window. Unfortunately, like, oxygen feeds the fire, and I don't think that they got that at that point. So I heard the glass shattering, and then the coughing got more and more and more. And he said to my mother, like, they kept swapping on the phone with my stepfather and my mom. And when he got into the phone with my stepdad, he said, I honestly, Kermit, I really don't think I'm going to make it out of here. I need you to be, he's like, I know you're a great man. I need you to be a father to my kids.
Oh, my God.
He said, love them like I would. And he said, Michael, it's an honor. I absolutely will. And then he got back on the phone with my mom, and he said, Monique, I'm not going to make it out. I need you to tell the kids how much I love them. And she's like, no, you're going to tell them yourself. You're going to get out of here. You're going to get out. And he's like, no, listen to me. And he was the calm one in this scenario. Like, he said, tell them I love them. He said, and for you, he said, I know that we had a crazy life together, but I've always loved you, and I'm always going to love you. And I'm so sorry for everything. And she just started crying and, like, losing it. And I felt like in that moment, I could have said something. I could have said, let me talk to him. But I also know now that if I would have done that, he probably would have lost it.
Oh, yeah. For
so
sure.
it was best that I
And you were probably
didn't.
in shock.
I was. I couldn't
Totally.
speak. I couldn't speak. I was looking at the TV, and I was like, my dad's in there? Like, he's in there?
Right.
And my mom was like, Michael, I love you. I'm, you know, like, it just, he said something like, because they were looking for cables alongside of the building to try and, like, get out that
crawl
way.
down or something.
But, yeah, and then the line cut off, I believe it was at 9:14 a.m. I think it was 9:14.
Was he in the first tower or the second tower?
He was the one with the point on top.
But is that the first one that went down or the second one? Do you
I
know?
believe it was the second one that went down.
Okay.
And when the line cut off, we went downstairs and we put it on there, and we're just watching because we didn't think the buildings were going to come down.
Right.
And when it did, I think even that, I'm holding my baby brother at the time, and I'm like, I cannot believe this right now. Like, I was in complete shock. But again, I felt like I was watching it.
Right.
I didn't feel like I was in my body. And I was like, I should have said something. I should have at least told him, like, Dad, I love you, or something.
You were saying that right? I mean, you were thinking that right then?
And yeah, because I knew. I was like, I know something is going on. And, you know, afterwards they showed, mind you, my aunt is also, she was in the Citibank right next to the World Trade Center. So she had to walk 7 months pregnant, walk from there all the way back to Queens Village on foot with all the smoke and the craziness. So we're like, we hope that my dad's going to make it out. We hope that she's going to make it out. But where he was on the 103rd floor. So where he was, the building, I believe, was like 72 to 93rd floor was the plane. And so you couldn't go down because of that, and you couldn't go up because of the smoke. So we kind of knew. But I think we kind of take comfort now knowing that he fell asleep first. You know, hoping that the smoke might have made him fall asleep first, and then whatever happened. Because because we got remains after that.
You did?
We did. Yep, they found remains, and
oh my God, that's amazing to me that they could find remains.
I was shocked too. Yeah, his wallet was intact.
What?
Yeah. That's why we said, I think if anything, he might have fallen asleep first.
Yeah, because it didn't burn through.
No, some of like the everything was just more wet than it was burned.
Wow.
So I think it was just that kind of pressure when it happened. But I was really, I don't think I actually re-entered my body until that night, because that night I couldn't sleep. I was in my grandmother's bed shaking like the whole night. And I remember thinking like, yeah, okay, I might die, you know, because before that point I thought life was rainbows and puppies and nothing could happen. I didn't know anything about, you know, death or anything. And at that point, that was like reality slapping me in the face. And I was like, okay, like I might die today. But after that, I kept, because he would pick me up every weekend, I kept getting ready. I would still pack my bag and wait for him.
Oh, God.
Yep. I waited for a while, and then my mom was just like, he's not coming. Like, he's not coming back. Like, we need to find a way to move forward and to really just pick ourselves up, because he wouldn't want us to be like this. And my brother probably took it. My brother, like, he had issues as far as, like, he had a little bit of a speech impediment. He was super close to my dad as well. So right away he was like, I want to die. I want to be with Daddy. Like, I want to die. And we went through, like, whether it's therapy or, for me, I didn't feel like I deserved anything. So before I knew, like, I wanted to do this, before I wanted to go to WWE, like, I had cut myself for a while just because I wanted to feel something.
Oh, wow.
I felt like I was so numb in my body that I just wanted to feel something. So I would do that. I never told anybody, like my mom or anybody, but until like years later. But I would do that, and then I developed bulimia after a while because I just didn't feel like I deserved anything. Wow. So it took me a while. And then I remember around 17 was when I was like, okay, what was it that my dad and I shared the most? Like, what's going to make him proud of me? How can I keep his memory alive? And it was wrestling. Mm. And that's when I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to do this for him. And I'm not going to stop until I do it. And then, and it's funny because, like, I remember I was like, man, he would dress like The Rock, and he would do the people's eyebrow, and I would dress up like Lita, and that was our thing. So I was like, no, like, I'm going to make it a reality. Like, I don't care. Like, this is what I'm tying this to. And that's what finally pulled me out of that dark space. And yes, I am still mentally messed up from that. But I think because I've been able to spin it into a positive, it's helped me in those dark times, you know? But to go back to a second to the Jeff Hardy thing, I've always heard, you know, people like around that time after 9/11, you're always hearing these songs and you hear Mariah Carey's Hero, or you hear like What's Going On, you know, like you hear those songs and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I've never felt like I was like, they don't understand. Like nobody understands. And for some reason, at that point, Jeff Hardy had made a song called September Day. And I think it was a mixture of me being such a fan of his, the love we shared for wrestling, and the relationship I started to develop with him, that I felt like that's the song that he gets it, you know. So, and it took me a while to tell him. I was like, listen, Jeff, like out of all of the songs and after everything I've seen, whether it's poetry or whatever, like this is the song that really I loved the song, and this is what made me go, yeah, he gets it. Like.
Wow.
So we really bonded off that. And for you, I had seen so many people sing the national anthem. I had seen so many people, you know, but again, I think it was just the tie. When I saw you singing, I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite one. This is by far my favorite, because the emotion that you had while it was beautiful. It was completely untouchable in my eyes. It still is to this day, because I actually felt again when I saw you do that. And
Wow.
I've always, and I think I don't know if I had tweeted it and like, or tried to tweet it, and I was like, no, like I need to tell her in person.
Wow.
Like this is.
The fact that you were choosing right now. Yeah. That's crazy, because,
Yeah.
you know, it's insane, because I was living in New York during that time. And, you know, my husband at the time was on the way to the towers, and he was actually late.
Oh my
to a
God.
meeting because a coworker made him late. I mean, my husband was always on time.
Right.
And yeah, he was late, and he called me and he woke me up, because obviously we were in Texas ready to do the show, so we were 2 hours earlier.
Right.
And he's just calling me saying, it's okay, I'm okay. And he's running up to Times Square.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what do you mean you're okay? What's going on? He's like, turn on the TV. He goes,
Right.
He didn't know the towers were coming down. He goes, there's just a massive plane that went into a building. So I turn it on, same thing as you. I am like, what the hell is going on? And am I watching a movie?
Right.
And then the line drops with him.
Oh,
I lose
that's the
contact with
worst.
him, right? And then we hear there might be a bomb in Penn Station. There might be a bomb here. There might be a bomb there, right? So now I'm freaking out.
Yep.
I'm freaking out, and I'm alone in the room. And I remember the night before, Chuck Palumbo had actually followed me, him and Sean Stasiak, to make sure that I got to the hotel okay. And so I remember that they were there, because no other females were there at the hotel. So I called him, and I was freaking. He's like, well, what? And he came over, and he was my savior that day. But when they told me 2 days later that they wanted me to sing the national anthem, I was just like, oh my God. I mean, an honor, but how am I going to get through this? Because I was a wreck. I was a wreck, feeling for everybody. So the fact that you're saying that, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that your dad.
It meant a lot, because, like I said, I felt so numb during that time. But as we watched it at home, I cried, because I was like, that she had so much emotion, and like you can tell, like I didn't feel like a lot of people understood me at that point, and not a lot of people understood how big this was to just our family. But I felt like you were singing like for our family, you know.
Wow. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I just remember, you know, when Vince told me, you have to do this. And or he said, please, you know, and I'm like, absolutely. Like, again, I felt like I had the weight of the world on me, because I knew how important it was. And thank God for Paul Heyman, who talked to me beforehand. He's like, you got this, calm down, you're whatever. But I had no idea. Like, to find out now that here you are, you lost your dad, and, you know, and here we are years later, talking about it. It's insane, right? The paths that cross and stuff. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Here you are watching it at home, and then next, you know, years later, we're backstage, and we're talking, and here you are on the show, and it's crazy how life, how it brings us all together.
This big circle is just insane. I've known you for 8 years, and we've never spoken
about this. So, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story, you know, with your dad and everything, because it's crazy. And now that I lost my dad, I get it.
Yes.
You know, I get the loss of a father. The only difference is I was able to have my dad for a whole lot longer than you. Mm-hmm. And I was able to say goodbye, you know. So I think that makes it easier for me. How
does it?
Well, it does, because I mean, of course I miss him and I'm sad.
I just always wondered that, like, does it help? Does it make it easier?
Well, I don't have another thing to compare it to.
Sure.
But I can imagine that me being able to say thank you and goodbye and all of that. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like with you, like with my father, I feel him. Mm-hmm. I feel his energy. Mm-hmm. He sends me signs all the time.
Yes, yes.
All right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I can have conversations with him and Dad's hearing.
Absolutely.
And I'll laugh sometimes when things are so obvious that he wants me to get, you know, to notice.
Yes.
And I'll laugh. And the number 8s are a big thing.
Okay.
With me. Like my lucky number is 8. And Dad has used the number 8 to literally get a hold of me. Like, I say that, it's gotten to the point where even my husband is like, okay, now this is a little obvious.
Yes, yeah.
For example, we were in Seattle. I was doing a Comic-Con, and the guy who's driving us to the airport literally goes, I don't know why Waze, the app, is telling me to get off this highway. I've never gotten off this highway, but I've learned my lesson to listen to it because there might be an accident up ahead, right?
Right.
So he goes, I'm going to get off the highway. So he gets off the highway. I turn the corner. Do you know those balloons, those big silver balloons, like when people are turning their, you know, birthdays? It's like 31 or whatever. It's like this huge helium balloon, right? There is this huge silver, like it looks exactly like a balloon, but it's a fountain with the number 8 and water spewing all on the side of it. Oh my
gosh.
And I looked and I started laughing my butt off, and I'm like, oh my God, I know now why you got off the exit.
Yeah.
And my husband's looking at this going, no way. Like, when do you ever see a number 8 fountain water spewing, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's been sending me signals and stuff.
So
I know that I could talk to him. Do you feel like you can talk to your dad? Do you feel his energy? Yeah.
Absolutely. Specifically, and this arena is so special to me for a few reasons, but because we used to come here to watch.
Yeah, we're at the Barclays Center, by the way, guys.
Yes, so. And I feel like sometimes I feel him and I feel what he's trying to tell me. So I had seen Dwayne Johnson a few years before I actually met him, and I didn't have the guts to talk to him. And I always regretted it. And then at the Barclays Center, I was an extra about 5 years ago. And he walked past me, and he looked at me, and he's like, hi, I'm Dwayne. And I was like, hi, I'm Thea. And he's like, Thea what? And I was like, Thea Trinidad. He's like, oh, that's a cool name. He's like, my name's just Dwayne Johnson. And I was like, yeah, no duh, of course you are.
Yeah.
But then he walked away, and then I felt myself going, no, Thea, you need to talk to him. You need to talk to him. Stop being stop being a wuss. Just go and talk to him. And he looked at me, like he was talking to Rusev and Lana, and he looked back at me and he like gave me like the finger, like to come here, like come over here. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And he said, you look like you have something important to tell me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. And then I said, listen, like, I don't even care if I never see you again. I just feel like I need to say thank you to you. I said, because and I told him, you know, my story and why I'm here and about my dad and how he was his favorite. I said, listen, we have all these amazing memories because of you. You know, I have some of the best memories with my dad because of you, and I just want to say thank you so much, because those are the ones that I hold really close to me along my journey to get here. And he just was like, whoa, that's so not what I thought you were going to say. And he gave me this big hug, and he said, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I thought, okay, sweet. Like, I did it. I was like, literally what I thought in my head, I was like, okay. I walked away from him, and I looked up, and I was like, Dad, I did it. I said it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I was like, he knows your name now. Like, it was such a big moment for me. And I didn't think I'd ever see him again. But then, randomly, I had gotten a text, like about a month later, maybe a little sooner, and he had said, hey, I was reading some articles about your dad, and it just made our talk backstage so much more special. Again, I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. ... Guess who? And I was like, what? no. I was like, this isn't real. Like, this has to be somebody joking, like, or messing with me.
Did you feel like that was him instantly? And then you were like, wait, what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought, oh my God, no. That can't be him. That can't be, why would it be him? How would he get my number? Like, what's the, no, he wouldn't care, right? Because, like, he's this Hollywood star. Why would he care about little me? Like, you know, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Like, he cares so much about people. And for some reason, I think it just resonated with him, and he took his time out of his day to go and look up my dad's name, remember it to begin with, look him up, and say, oh my God, like, this is real, like, this is a part of her story. And because I always said, whenever I mentioned about my dad in wrestling, The Rock, always. The Rock was his favorite. Everything was The Rock. And we became friends after that. And, you know, obviously then the movie came afterwards, but him and I've never felt like somebody outside of my family really understood me as a person, whether it was my insecurities or whether it was me as a kid and the stuff I went through, or my eating disorder, everything that I was always so afraid to tell someone. He has been, and pardon the pun, I guess, but my rock. Like, he has been amazing to me. And I remember for SummerSlam, I was like, oh my God, I am wrestling in the Barclays Center, somewhere that I went to, you know, watch wrestling with my dad with. And, like, this is where I met The Rock. And I'm also wrestling here in front of my family.
Wow.
It was such a magical moment. And for Smackdown, going to be at the Barclays Center again, and my family gets to come. And it's just, and now I'm sitting here with you and reliving all of these things. And I'm like, I couldn't be more on cloud nine. Like, I am just the happiest I've ever been. So, and to actually feel like, wow, I did it. Like, I'm so surprised. Like, of course you want it, but you never know for sure. Is it going to happen or not?
Right.
But I can say, oh my God, I did it. I did it. Like, Dad, we did it. Like, so happy. And I remember, and sometimes, like, Dwayne and I will send, like, video messages back and forth, and, you know, he knows me, so he knows, like, I'd be stressing out about something, so he'll always say, like, hey man, like, you're gonna do great, you're gonna kill it, like, whatever. And I sent him a video message just crying, just saying, like, thank you for believing in me from the jump, because he believed in me when nobody else would. When on my, what I want to say 7th tryout, was told no, and, you know, just keep pushing through and whatever, but nobody believed in me. And he was like, no, I see something in you. Like, I know you're going to make it, and I'm going to be with you every step of the way. And I feel like he has taken care of me like my dad would have, you know? So I think more than anything, he has been such an amazing person. And I don't even think he understands and grasps how much I appreciate him. So I think I'm like, well, I'll always say it, and if he gets it, cool. But it's such a special moment to be here with you, talking about this at the Barclays Center, and I'm gonna be wrestling tonight.
Yeah,
like, I'm wrestling. Like, that's such a weird thing. Like,
wow. Well, I have to say ditto to that, because, you know, I worked with Rock for many years, and he's incredible. He's the reason that I even started singing the National Anthem.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, right?
Oh wow, that's so cool. That's so
so
cool.
it all ties.
Yeah.
Tell me about the movie. You know, you're going to be playing AJ Lee.
Yes,
which is
weird,
wild,
right?
Right, in Paige's movie, Fighting with My Family.
Yes.
Do you know why it got postponed?
Well, I think it was more of a timing thing. It was more like, okay, yes, we want to branch out to, you know, outside of wrestling fans, but we know that that's going to be a big, like, that's going to be our audience.
Yeah.
So it's going to be close to WrestleMania. That's the perfect time to just put it
Everybody
out.
all excited for it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. When I saw the new date, I'm like, which is supposed to be in March, right, of 2019, I was like, oh, this makes sense.
Yes.
People are going to be so excited for WrestleMania. They're going to be wanting to see this movie as a hype for it and all of that. So
Absolutely.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So for you, like, how cool was that to be part of this movie?
Oh my God, it was insane. I think what made it even crazier was that when I first, I remember texting him going, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, I think I'm just gonna quit wrestling. I was so ready to give up. Like, I was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, I'm getting told no from WWE. Like, TNA is just, no, I don't want to go back to that. Like, I I don't know what to do. Like, and I remember I had just got told, because I was going to be part of I did a audition for the Spider-Man movie. And it was going great. And then it got changed at the last minute. And I was like, no, nothing seems to be going right. Like, what do I do? And he's like, I've been kind of working on something. Just give me a few days and we'll talk about it.
Oh, wow.
So I was watching TakeOver and I was watching Andrade. He was wrestling, I believe, who was it? I'm not sure who it was, but I remember watching his match. And then William Regal calls me. And he's like, hey, Thea, do you speak Spanish? And I was like, I mean, kind of. I'm working on it. Why? Yeah. And he's like, actually, I don't think it matters. I'll call you back. And he hung up. And I was like, okay. And then Dwayne called me that night. And he was like, so when he told me, I thought maybe it might have been tied together, but it wasn't. But he called me and he was like, hey, so I know that you've been down and I know, like, you've been thinking maybe you should give up on a few things, but I have this really great project that I'm working on, and I think you'd be absolutely perfect. He said, you do not have to audition for it. I know you can do this. He's like, I feel it in my heart. You can do this part, and I'm so excited to tell you. So I'm like getting excited, and he's like, so you're going to be playing AJ Lee. And I was like, what? Yeah, like instantly I was like, what? Like that couldn't have, I was like, that's perfect. That is perfect, because I've known her for a little bit. So I've seen her work. I knew her a little bit personally, and with just our aesthetic, we're similar. So I was like, that's perfect. And then I just was speechless. I was like, wait. You're doing a movie on Paige? And I've known Paige forever. So I was like, how did this happen? He's like, listen, watch this documentary and just know that we're recreating it, but we're adding to it. But I need someone to be my Divas champion, and you are my champion. And I was like, aww. So I just started crying, and I was like, why do you do this to me all the time? Yeah. But he is like, dude, honestly, I know that you can do this. Like, I'm not even, when, some of the, whether it was the director or whoever said, oh, are you sure? And he's like, no, guarantee you, she's my girl. She can do it. And, I was just like, thank you so much. Like, I couldn't even express to him how thankful I was. I said, you're seriously going to get sick of me saying thank you, because that's all I'm going to be saying to you for, like, ever. And he's like, okay, we'll get it rolling. We'll do this. And he's like, I just need your help. We're the only wrestlers, like real wrestlers, involved in the film. So I need you to be my eyes when I'm not there. I need you to, help pick out the stunt double for Paige. He's like, work with some of the girls and just see who fits the mold better, and we'll come up with it together. He said, so not only are you going to be starring in this, but you're going to be helping. Wow. So I was like, oh my God, what is it? Yeah. And I just I remember when I finally hung up the phone with him, I sat on my floor in the middle of my living room and I just started crying. Yeah, and I was like, Dad, was that you? Was that you? Because
that's what I mean. Yeah,
like,
the help. Yeah.
In what universe?
Right.
But when we actually started getting ready for the film, and I was trying out a bunch of different girls, I was like, this girl Tessa, she's a great wrestler. I can work well with her. This is who I think is going to be great. And he didn't even question it. He was like, nope, I trust you 1,000%.
That's awesome.
And we went through with it. And when it came time to actually, because I was studying AJ like crazy, to the point where even now people are like, oh, she reminds me of AJ. It's because sometimes I revert back to that. And it's just, I think it became second nature. He had to show me, he's like, you see how she does the dips in her voice? That's what we got to work on. He said, we got to pick this apart, dissect it down to the bone. Yeah. And he sat with me, and then we just went through it. And I remember we were doing training one day, and he's like, okay, cut the promo for me now. At a random. And he's like, that was great. Let's keep working at it. Let's keep doing this. And he just helped me become her, just becoming another person and getting into the mindset. He's like, you need to know why she was like this, and why did she move the way she did? Why did she use that tone? And so once I was able to get to that part, when we were at Raw, the show had just ended, and in Gorilla was Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, like everybody who I'm like, right. Oh my God, I was like deathly afraid. I was like, oh my God. And he's just like, you're going to kill. Like, we had a good talk before, and he's like, you're going to do amazing. He said, he's like, let's show them. He's like, you haven't gotten hired yet. Let's show them why they need you. Let's do this. He's like, let's really show them what I've seen all along. Yeah. And I was like, stop it. You're going to make me cry. I have my makeup done. Stop. And he's like, He's like, you're gonna kill it. I know it. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. And when he hugged me, I felt like that was my dad hugging me. And I was like, okay, I can do it. And I just felt like so confident. And then up until I heard her music play, that's where I was like, ooh, oh. And they were like, wait, okay, go. And as soon as I went out, I think because people haven't heard her music in a while, they were like, it was like an explosion of emotion from the audience. And when I got out there, I felt as if it was almost as if they were comforting me. Like they were saying, you can do this. Like, we're ready for this. Yeah. We want to see this. You as AJ, we want to see this. And when I got out, it was like an instant cheer. And I've never understood when he says, oh, the audience is electrifying.
Yes.
I never understood what that meant until that moment.
Yeah.
And, I started skipping like her, and I started going around the ring, and I kissed the title, and I put it down, and I did her whole entrance in the promo. And it's funny because as I read comments about it, people who recorded in the audience, they said, okay, she was definitely using I was lip syncing. They thought I was lip syncing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, that's such a huge compliment.
Huge.
So, yeah, because, once I realized that she talked like this and she moved like that, it was, like people say, like, you are really scary, because that's exactly how she did it.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun experience. It was like working with the actress Florence, who's absolutely amazing, who really, she fell in love with our business. She was totally respectful. She didn't think that she was better at any point. She said, I'm so happy to be in the ring with you guys. Like, it was so cool because at one point we realized right before Raw started, like, oh my God, we taught her everything, but not how to pin. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Dwayne was like, all right, everybody clear the ring for a second, really quick. And he showed Florence how to pin me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting pinned by The Rock. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
and he's like trying to talk to me, and I'm like, no, not done yet. No, let me just soak this in a little bit more.
Right.
And then Florence had learned to pin me, and I was like, can we just? It didn't feel right. Can we just do it one more time? Can we just?
Right.
And but it was just such a great vibe. It was a family vibe, and it was the movie called Fighting with My Family. But we all felt like such a family together, and I had so much fun. And to hear that Stephanie had said to, Dave Taylor, who was working with us, she's like, okay, I know that she hasn't even started wrestling yet, but she's really good. Oh. And when they told me that, I was like, no way, Stephanie said that. Because I love Stephanie.
Yeah.
Like, she's such a huge inspiration, especially being a manager. I watched her so much.
Right.
And, I watched her a lot. I watched a lot of Melina and Sensational Sherry. Like, that was like my three, and Paul Heyman. Those are the ones that I like as women, and then as a man, like the ones that I watched the most. And to hear that Stephanie said that, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I've become a little, wrestling fan again in my head all the time. Awesome. I was like, 8-year-old Thea would be so happy. But when we finally finished filming, I remember going to the back, and they're like, oh, Dwayne's in his locker room. Just head down there. And as soon as I walked in, I didn't see anybody else in the room. I knew that he had, Brad was with him, and Hiram, and everybody with $7. They were all there. His daughter was there. But I didn't see anybody else. I literally just ran up to him, and I gave him the biggest hug, and I was just crying, and I just couldn't say thank you enough. I was like, you have no idea what you've done for me. You have no idea. And he's like the best person I've ever known. Yeah. And I'm just so thankful that I have him. And now his daughter Simone and I have become so close. She's feel awesome. Like, and she's training now at the Performance Center. And to be a part of that, and she's like, I want you to be there for, like, I want to learn from you.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
wow,
dude, because she's like, I knew that I wanted to start wrestling for sure when I saw you at Raw doing the movie. She said, once I was like, dude, that's the Rock's daughter telling me this? What?
Wow.
But she said, after I saw you performing the way you did, and because when they yelled cut, I just dropped to my knees and started crying. And I was like, whoa. And I think they got shots of that, and then
You mean in the middle of the ring?
Yes.
In front of all the people?
oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. As
And
soon
how
as
did
it
the
was
crowd
done.
respond?
They were just clapping. It was such a cool
Wow.
feeling.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think, and maybe for people who didn't know me, they knew what that meant.
Yeah.
And I was on my knees and I was crying. I was just looking around. And I was like, even if this is the last time I see this, I want to see it.
Yeah.
And feel it. So
Well, how long was it before you got actually told that you were going to go to the Performance Center and you got signed? Like, how did that? Because William Regal, now you
Right.
left me hanging.
Yes,
he just
yeah.
said that. Boom. Now you're doing the movie, and then
Yeah.
what happened?
It was a couple weeks after that. A couple weeks after that, they called me back and said, hey, we're going to bring you into the Performance Center. We have this idea that we want to do, and just give it a shot. And just, we're kind of just shooting in the dark and hope this works. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, we tried. And once I got there, Andrade and I just clicked.
Yeah,
We
you guys
clicked.
have a great chemistry.
Thank you. And I feel like now, it's funny because people are like, oh my God, they're together. He's like my brother.
Yeah.
We fight like brother and sister.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, there'll be times where, even the tranquilo pose,
Yeah.
he had done it for years, 12 years, maybe even longer. And I was like, what if I did it under you? And he's like, no, muñeca, no. Like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to do it like that. No. And I was like, no, trust me. It's gonna be good. Trust me. So he's like, fine. In Japan, we'll do it. So I was like, okay. So we did it, and it got a huge reaction. Next thing
you're like,
we know,
nah.
oh yeah. Oh, I threw it in his face. And not only at that point, but then the following week, Road Dogg had said to us, okay, that was a great match, blah, blah. Hey, let's do that double tranquilo thing that you guys do or whatever.
Love it.
And I looked at him with the biggest Kool-Aid smile, and I was like,
See?
yep. So that's how that whole thing came about. That's how the double tranquilo pose happened, was just us fighting over it and then going, yeah, let's just do this. And I was like, dude, this can be the new planking. This literally. So now we see people in, China doing it. We see it in like, where was it? Just all over the, not just in the U.S., but different countries. And I was like, I can't believe how global this has become.
Yeah.
And we see people, kids doing it, moms, dads, grandmas, like cats, just a bunch of people. And I'm like, what is life right now?
Wow.
So, but yeah, it took a few weeks for them to call me and be like, yeah, this is what we want to try. But some people like to think that it had a lot to do with the movie. I think that just encouraged them. I think it was more of a, okay, wow, we've never seen her in this light. We've always just seen her as,
Exactly.
So
they
I
got to
think-
see your thing.
Yeah.
No, trust me, they're not going to call you to be a part of this just because The Rock said. Like, you've got to have the goods and to even sustain it. And now you've been doing great since you've been here.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
Thank you. I'm so in shock still. Like, even just this situation right now that we're in, like in this room talking, I am still like, okay, is this real? This is real? We're going to pinch it? Yeah, we're here. Okay. Like,
yeah. Do you think that's a little bit, as we wrap this up, do you think that's a little bit too of, you said at 10 years old, your world got rocked and your world changed. And now things they're not, you don't take anything for granted. You can't, right? But are you also kind of, has it made you where you think the shoe's going to drop? The other shoe's going to fall?
I've always felt like that.
Yeah.
And
since then or even before that?
Before that. So, yeah, like even an example, my dog, Kovu, he had passed away. He was 9 months old. He had gotten congestive heart failure. But before that point, I was like, he's so perfect. He's the best. Like, I loved him like he was my son. Like, I loved him like he was a human. And I always felt like, he's too good for me. I don't deserve him. He's too good for me. I don't deserve him. And I think because of that, it helped create that situation. I don't know, but I just felt like, I feel like one day he's going to leave me. He's going to leave me. And I don't know how. I don't know why. But I always felt that. Like, since I was, like I told you, as a kid, I didn't deserve anything. I never felt like I did.
So how do you feel about this situation right now, you being here? Does it make you feel like it's not going to last?
I fight that feeling. Sometimes I do. Especially when we were at for SummerSlam, I was like, oh no. How long is this gonna, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, is this gonna go left? Like, what's gonna happen? And I just have to really center myself when that happens. And because I have had thoughts of that. I'm like, this is too good to be true. This is too good to be true. Like, this is too good, and this is not going to last. Like, that's how my brain goes sometimes, but I've learned to try and rein myself in and say, no, this is what you've worked your whole life for.
Right.
You need to, if you feel like that, then you got to work harder and just make sure that that doesn't happen. You need to not give them any reason to let you go. And because I know that anything can change in an instant, and this could all be gone tomorrow, God forbid, but I want to make sure that I'm doing everything on my part to make sure that that does not happen. And
not will it either.
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I willed that with my dog, and I'm trying to not make the same mistake. And
because that's the trap. Is I've seen people work so hard to get here. They get here, and then they can't be happy because now they're too scared to lose it.
Yes, right.
Oof, what a vicious circle.
You're right.
You're just always working, you get it, and you're like, oh yeah, but it's not going to last, so therefore, and then they self-sabotage and all of that.
Yeah,
so,
and I always feel like people, especially in the wrestling business, like we get each other that way. Some people do feel that way also, and other people just understand it because it's something that we all care so much about. We don't want to lose it. And I remember thinking during TakeOver, it was us versus Aleister Black. I remember thinking that in that moment, I was like, okay, this is too good to be true. Because I had so many spots in that match. It was like the best situation. You know, I got to do all of my Lita-esque moves. Yeah. And I just felt like, this is amazing. This is so great. I'm so happy. This is what happens when you're happy. Like, something is something. The other shoe's going to drop. And then Aleister was the one to go, no. You deserve it. We all deserve it. We all worked our butts off. We are going to, we're going to kill it. Everything's going to be great. You know, don't worry. So he actually has been a very big, when I find myself falling into like what I call like my deep, dark, part of my mind. Hole in my mind. He has been the one to be like, no, you're good. Don't worry about it. We're good. So I feel very lucky that I have people like Aleister or, Dwayne, just people that, even Andrade in some points where he could be like, no, Muñeca, let's do this together. Like, we're going to do it. Like, we're great, and I feel like now I can do the same for them because by opening up to them has had them open up to me. So now I can help be that for them as well.
That's awesome.
So it's an amazing thing, and wrestling has brought me so many amazing things.
What a journey. Girl, what a journey thus far. And you're so young still, so it's like,
I'll be 28 December, man.
That's crazy. God.
Yeah.
So my final question for you, I pretty much think I know the answer to this, but has your chase for glory looked the way you thought it would look?
Oh, no. No, it definitely hasn't. I had no idea that I would take all these twists and turns. And I mean, I remember thinking of my first tryout back after my motorcycle accident. Because during my motorcycle accident, I got a call while I was in the hospital from Kristen Altman saying, hey, we want you to try out. And I was like, wonderful. I'm laying in a hospital bed.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, no, it's okay. Just come when you can and meet everybody and whatever. So I thought, yeah, we can do this tryout and I'm going to get signed and everything's going to be great. And, it seemed that way. Like I remember Norman Smiley telling me, yeah, like everything seems great. And then they told me no. Yeah. And that was the end of my world at that point. I thought, I remember thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm never going to go to WWE. Like, oh my God. I don't know where I grew the guts to call Norman Smiley out of nowhere. And I just called him and I was like, Norman, I'm so sorry, but this happened. They just told me this. I'm never going to get signed. And he's like, no. That's not what that means. It just means no for now. And from that moment when I had that, and I'm so thankful for him for doing that. And it was so cool to finally work at the PC with him because wow. But I remember that conversation. That was the one that made me go, okay. So all that means is that I got to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Never did I think any of what we discussed was going to happen since that point.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Mm-hmm. But do you appreciate, what's the silver lining in it all, looking back?
I feel like it made me such a stronger person. It made me a really, I'm not the strongest person. Everybody has their moments. But I do feel that had I had gotten signed at that point, who knows what I would have been doing? Who knows how I would have been at that point because I wasn't ready. I thought I was. I wasn't. And so I think it was a blessing in disguise. And I think I needed to meet the people that I did along the way. And I needed to go experience. I needed to go wrestle in Japan. I needed to go wrestle in TNA and make those relationships with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, like the Hardys. I worked with them in TNA. Now I'm working with them here. So I feel like it needed to happen. And now I can say I have all this experience, so I can help other people, whether it's at the PC or here. I can bring what I've learned into it. And it just makes me an all-around better performer because I appreciate it so much more. I appreciated it then and I wanted it so bad, but that hunger grew so much more. Yeah. And now I can say, like, I'm going to do everything I can for this. And it's just, I think, being able to say I'm representing for my dad. After SummerSlam, after we won, I took a second and I knew that the cameras were off of me, and I was like, "That was for you, Dad."
Oh,
you know. So I'm so thankful. You know, I'm thankful. And Vince, I was always super shy around him, but I remember him saying, like, "You did awesome. Like, I love the weird little Joker smile that you do," and he's giving me such great feedback, and I'm like, "What? That's Vince. That's Vince McMahon. Like." Vincent Kennedy McMahon, like the VKM? What? Yeah. Like, yeah. You know, but I think more than anything, it's just, I'm so thankful. That's the biggest thing.
Well, looking at your journey and hearing your story, I can just say that this is, and you sharing this right now, you don't understand what your story and you sharing this is going to help somebody out there.
Thank you.
Somebody's listening to this that needed this more than anything. Somebody is listening to this that has been cutting, that is realizing I need to stop.
Yes.
You know, bulimia, I share that with you. I get it. Like, gotta stop.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not the way to go. And that's the way to end your life.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being this open, really. And I can't wait to continue to see your journey and hear more about it. And just I always gravitated to you because just your energy and your spirit about you is just so awesome.
Thank you.
Guys, I hope you guys get to meet her personally, because seriously, you're just wonderful, and it makes me want to cheer for you even more.
Thank you so much.
So how did we find you on social media?
On Twitter and Instagram, it is at Zelina_Vega WWE.
Awesome. All right.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
Wow. What an interview. I had no idea, guys. And no idea that her dad had died in the towers at 9/11. And then to hear the story, well, you guys heard how emotional I got. Because to hear that here's a 10-year-old little girl who just lost her dad and 2 days later is listening to my rendition of the National Anthem when I did it live on Smackdown is crazy. And the reaction she gave to it, I mean, that was unbelievable. I don't even know if unbelievable is the word. It's just very heart-wrenching. So I thank her definitely for opening up like that and being so vulnerable and talking about all the things that happened afterwards and how she got into cutting and bulimia and all, and she never shared it with anyone. And guys, that is definitely not the way to go. I mean, I understand why people can go down that road. I went down the road of bulimia, so I get it. But I will say, if there's anybody out there suffering from any of that, from any kind of addictions or anything like that, please get help, because ultimately you see where it all ends. It either ends in death or it ends in just a lot of destruction around you. Like, it never ends well. So just seek some help, guys. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Chasing Glory, and please go ahead and rate the show. If you felt like it was 5 stars, and I really hope you felt like it was 5 stars, especially how open Zelina got with us, then please rate the show, because that definitely helps Chasing Glory, and it helps get more people to be able to find the show and to listen to the show. And I ask all of you, please, all of you out there, just tell one person about Chasing Glory. Let's spread the word. And remember to follow it on Instagram at Chasing Glory Podcast, because that way you can find out on Glory Friday who the next guest will be. You guys won't want to miss my next guest, as you don't want to miss any of my guests because they're incredible. So just thanks for everything, for all the support, for subscribing. Go to my YouTube channel, also youtube.com/Lilian Garcia, and my Instagram on Twitter @Lilian Garcia. Okay, guys, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, I'll now be playing the National Anthem, the one that I did after 9/11. It was the 13th of September. We were in Houston, and it was live on Smackdown. Oh, a lot of pressure that night. But I know the world needed this, and I just want to say to any direct victims of 9/11, because we've all been affected one way or the other, but to all the direct victims of 9/11, our thoughts and prayers are still with all of you.
Please rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, see, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is certainly an emotional night for all of us. It has been an emotional week for all Americans and for all of humanity. But we'll be back.